Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something really quite significant happening in India. It's the commissioning of the country's very first Sustainable Aviation Fuel plant,
Yeah.
SAF as it's known. Now, this is definitely key info if you're tracking current affairs, environment news, or maybe preparing for exams like UPSC.
Exactly. Our goal here is to really unpack what this move by Indian Oil Corporation, IOC,
Mm.
actually means.
Mm.
For India's climate ambitions, its energy security picture, and while it's standing globally in green aviation, we're focusing on the core facts from the sources.
Okay, let's dive right in. The big news. IOC is establishing India's first commercial-scale SIF plant. It's at their Panipat refinery, and they're saying it should be operational by the end of the year. That's a pioneering step, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a
Yeah.
major first. And what's interesting is the tech and the feedstock. So initially, it's going to use used cooking oil, UCO, mainly from big commercial places, hotels, restaurants, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The process uses an alcohol-to-jet, or ATJ, pathway, and the tech itself comes from a U.S. company, LanzaJet.
LanzaJet, right.
And crucially, they've already secured ISCC CORSIA certification. That's a global sustainability standard. It's not just a nice-to-have. It's pretty much essential if you want to supply this fuel to international airlines participating in carbon reduction schemes.
Okay, let's back up slightly. We're throwing around SAF, Sustainable Aviation Fuel. Can you just break that down for us? What exactly makes it sustainable, and why is everyone talking about it?
Good question. So NSAF is basically a biofuel. Its properties are almost identical to traditional jet fuel kerosene. But the key difference is its origin. It's made from sustainable, renewable resources, not fossil fuels. And importantly, it's what we call a drop-in fuel.
Drop-in, yeah.
Meaning you can blend it straight into existing fuel supplies, up to 30% blend is currently allowed, and use it in today's aircraft. No need for engine modifications, no changes to airport infrastructure. That's the game changer.
Ah, I see. So no costly fleet upgrades needed immediately. That removes a huge barrier. And the environmental upside. Sources mention up to an 80% reduction in carbon footprint. That's massive.
It is, potentially. That's over its entire life cycle compared to conventional jet fuel. And you mentioned feedstocks earlier. It's quite diverse. Yes, used cooking oil is the focus at Panipat for now. But you can also make ASAF from things like agricultural waste, forestry residues, even municipal solid waste, and certain non-food crops.
Okay, so connecting this specific plant back to India's broader goals, why is this development so important nationally?
Well, if we look at the bigger picture, it hits several key priorities for India.
Right, like what specifically?
First, emissions reduction. Aviation is tough to decarbonize, right? So this directly helps India work towards its punch-and climate targets. Second, energy security. Anything that reduces reliance on imported crude oil is a win, saves foreign exchange too. Third, think circular economy. It takes waste, like that UCO, which can be an environmental problem, and turns it into valuable fuel. That's a neat trick.
Yeah, value from waste.
And finally, global compliance. It keeps India aligned with international standards like RCAO's CORSIA scheme. That ensures Indian airlines aren't disadvantaged on international routes demanding greener operations.
Those are definitely strong points. But, it can't all be smooth sailing. What are the real-world challenges here, the hurdles?
Yes, the challenges. They are significant, let's
Yeah.
be clear.
Mm-hmm.
Number one is cost. SAF is expensive, currently around 3 times the price of regular jet fuel. That's a major hurdle for airlines.
3 times. Wow.
Then there's feedstock logistics. Collecting enough used cooking oil consistently from lots of different places. That's a complex supply chain challenge in itself. Scalability is another big one. One plant is great, but meeting the fuel demand of India's entire aviation sector, that needs massive investment.
Yeah.
And the policy framework. Right now, India has indicative blending targets, not firm mandates for domestic flights. That lack of certainty can make private investors hesitant.
Okay, so talk about that policy roadmap. Where does India stand? You mentioned CORSIA globally.
Right, CORSIA sets the international context. Domestically, India's National Biofuel Coordination Committee, the NBCC, has set those indicative targets for international flights. It's 1% SAF blend by 2027, rising to 2% by 2028. Not huge numbers yet, but it's a start. And the government is apparently working on a roadmap for a proper domestic blending mandate, maybe starting from 2025. That could really shift things.
So summing up our deep dive today, IOC's Panipat plant is a definite landmark, putting India on the SAF map. But the path to truly green aviation involves tackling significant costs, supply, scale, and policy challenges. It's complex.
Absolutely. And it leaves us with a really important question to think about, doesn't it? As India does scale up its Korea production and hopefully strengthens its policy framework, how will this shift really impact the global aviation scene and, ultimately, the air we all breathe?
That's definitely the key takeaway, balancing that green ambition with the practical realities. Something for all of us to keep an eye on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.